I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go. Welcome. Thank you so much to Afton. During a recent members only stream, Afton was the one that brought this case to my attention. Allison Winter is a social worker. So they did confirm that she did complete her education. I believe she has a master's in social work, but she does not seem to be licensed. And it's my understanding, based on reporting, that Rex Heuermann's lawyer. So Rex Heuermann, if you don't know about his case, if you search Gilgo Beach, he pled guilty to multiple homicides in the Gilgo Beach area. And she is on a Peacock documentary providing her clinical analysis of him. And I'm not sure the producers knew that she was not licensed. In order to call yourself a therapist, to call yourself a psychotherapist, to say you do therapy, in most states, that is a protected term. So she was, according to reporting, she was arrested in November of 2024, and she's charged with grand larceny in the second and third degrees, scheme to defraud, and 14 counts of unauthorized practice of a profession. Prosecutors allege that between 2018 and 2024, she provided mental health counseling without the required clinical social work license while collecting roughly $60,000 in insurance reimbursements, more than $50,000 of it billed through Cigna, and additional payments through United Healthcare and Medicare. And in order to bill insurance, you normally have to submit to the insurance company verification of your credentials. So in order for me to be credentialed with the insurances that I accept, and even if I provided my client with a super bill, they paid out of pocket because I'm not in network with their insurance, their insurance would want important information from me to make sure that it was valid to reimburse me for those services. And so in order to get insurance reimbursement, you have to hold a license. And I have so many questions, and I don't know if we're going to get answers to it. I have so many questions, and it is very easy. So it is public record whether somebody is licensed or not. You just go to license verification. So the Board of Psychology, that is where my license is through. That's the license I hold. And on Psychology Today, they verify whether somebody is licensed or not. So if you're ever searching for a therapist and it has the verified by Psychology Today, in order to get an NPI, a national provider identification number, you do not have to be fully licensed. They don't verify that a person applying for an NPI, they don't verify whether that person is licensed or not. Because in order to start like some of the credentialing processes and all of that, because sometimes a person is able to bill as a resident. So if they're working towards licensure, sometimes they're able to bill under a supervisor. And so I think that's why individuals that aren't fully licensed are still able to apply for an NPI. I think I waited until I was licensed to get my NPI. I'm almost positive I did. I'm almost positive. That's what I did. Every situation is different. This is a lot. And I think the insurance company is likely going to try to get reimbursement for those services. There is news reporting. So if you search this, you can find news reporting. And if you have any difficulty finding the video, please just put it in the chat. And I will, over in the regular comments of the video, and I will link the video that I watched that had some additional details on this. It is very easy to verify whether somebody is licensed or not. I have to renew my license every year. So my license expired June 30th, and sometime in early June, might have been the end of May, I applied to renew my license for an additional year. In my office, I have my Virginia license, like it's one of the things behind me. I have a picture of my degrees, of my Virginia license, and then also I completed my a special internship, and so I have a picture of that internship as well. Her name is Allison Winter. She was Rex Heuermann's therapist. She's also recorded doing sessions. It's mine. I didn't watch the Peacock documentary. I don't have Peacock, but it's my understanding that she allowed. They agreed. So the Heuermanns agreed that their sessions could be recorded because it's my understanding that she was in the room when Rex told his wife that yes, he did the things. And she was the one that kind of supported them through that. His lawyer, it's my understanding, his lawyer recommended her. I don't think his lawyer knew that she wasn't licensed. I don't think she did. I don't think they did. Now, she could have just called what she was doing coaching. She could have said, I'm a mental health coach. I work with criminal populations and I help people achieve their life. I don't know. Like she could have, but if you call it therapy, and if you're addressing past trauma, because coaches should not be digging into, it shouldn't be therapy. Like therapy and coaching are two completely different services. Coaching is often more time limited, present focused. It's a very different service. Therapy is often getting to the root of the problem. It's therapy just looks different. There can be some aspects of coaching in therapy, but therapy, there should not be, like it should be clearly different. The difference between therapy and coaching should be clear. It is very wild. It surprised me. It really surprised me. Her next hearing is going to be July, let me see. I think July, was it 17th? No, 21st. Her next hearing will be July 21st. And it's I searched it because what I found is that in New York, it is illegal to call yourself a therapist or psychotherapist or to practice psychotherapy without a license. The New York State Education Department strictly protects these titles to ensure client safety and professional competency. Because in order, so I have to take, I think it's 12 to 14 hours. I normally do more hours than I have to do. That's why I don't know the exact number. I have to do like an hour and a half or 2 hours of Virginia ethics every year. And so I do continuing education every year to maintain my license. And then also, if a client had an issue with something, they can go to my state board to act as a mediator or to help with that process. And so the hearing is for her charges. So it's my understanding. So she has only been charged with these things. She has not had a trial. They likely waited until they finished with Rex's trial before proceeding with this. But this is filed in Suffolk County Court, and she has been charged in November of 2024 with grand larceny in the second and third degree, scheme to defraud, and 14 counts of unauthorized practice of a profession. All right. And if she had never done the documentary, I don't know that anybody would have ever looked into it. So she's been doing this since, according to the reporting, this has been since 2018 to 2024. Now, there could be, so if she's under supervision, but if you're a resident, you say, this is my supervisor, you bill under your supervisor. It's a very different thing. So I have questions. They did look into when she graduated with her degree. I did not write that information down because she does legit. She did complete her master's in social work, but there is no record of her having a license. I was just wondering, is there no record of her having a license in New York, or is there no record of her having a license anywhere? Because sometimes a person will be licensed in New Jersey. Now it's still illegal to see clients that are physically in New York if you're licensed in New York and you don't have some type of agreement or license. So you can't practice across state lines unless you have special permission to do so. And what matters is where the client is. It doesn't matter where the therapist is if it's telehealth. So I can be in Cancun. My client has to be in Virginia. And if my client isn't in Virginia, I have to document, because I have had some situations where it was a crisis, or back during the Rona, I received special permission because there were clients that moved to different states, and during that time, a lot of states were making it easy for, if therapists needed to continue with their current clients, they were able to do so. And so um, I don't know what amount of time she's facing. They'll probably be a fine. I don't know what's going to happen. Um, if nothing else, they wanted to stop what she's currently doing, because what she's currently doing could potentially be an issue. If so, when somebody isn't licensed and they're doing therapy, there's nobody to protect the clients. So the board is to protect the client and also the therapist too. Um, and so that's what the board is there to do, to make sure that the clinician is providing appropriate care. And then also, if a client does have a complaint, they have this neutral board to decide how things go. And so, yes, so you always check with your state board. If I have a client that's traveling, so I only have a license in Virginia. There are therapists that are licensed in other states. I have a rule where we just don't schedule to meet. So this summer I've had clients travel, and we just didn't. They were fine. They weren't in crisis. We didn't have to meet. And then if a client is in a crisis, I will document that, but I'm not going to have ongoing care, because what happens is, so if my client is in North Carolina, North Carolina has their rules for governing therapy in their state. And they want to make sure that any clinician, therapist, psychologist, that they are adhering to North Carolina's rules. And so that's why therapists have to be careful practicing, because that could create an issue in the place where you aren't licensed. Um, yes. It can create an issue in the state where you are licensed. If we remember back to Dr. Lewis, this came up during the Letitia Stout trial. It was a whole thing because she was licensed in multiple states, and she would normally reach out to the licensing board of that state to get permission to meet with a client in their state. I forget what state Letitia Stout, what trial, what state that one was in, but it came out during the trial that Dr. Lewis had not received that special permission for that case. So the state didn't want for her to be able to give an opinion at all. The judge allowed it. The judge allowed it, but the state kind of pushed back, like, wait a minute, she's not even supposed to be seeing clients in our state. And so, yes, thank you for Colorado. I'm so glad that she's not going to come into the retrial. It breaks my heart that the Stout family will have to go through another trial. I still think Letitia will be convicted, but that does break my heart for that family. So I hope that clears that up. If you ever have any questions. Sometimes when you're looking for a therapist, it might say resident in counseling, or it might say therapy intern or social work intern. So interns are normally still in school. That's how it is in my state. They normally have to tell you. So when I was an intern, I hadn't finished my degree. So I did a 5-year program, and we started seeing clients our second year. And we called that practicum. I was a practicum student. I couldn't see clients that were very severe because I could deal with like mild depression, anxiety. I could do psychological assessments, but if somebody came in with a severe mental health diagnosis, they would have to be seen by one of our third or fourth year students, or by a professor, or they would be referred to a different clinic. That our newer therapists, our practicum students, couldn't meet with clients that were severe. My third year, I did an offsite practicum where I was able to deal with, so any case that came my way, I was under supervision, and I met with my supervisor at least, I think it was for at least 2 hours a week, because we did individual supervision and we did group supervision. We had a whole class that was nothing but reviewing cases and doing group supervision. My fourth year, I supervised I think a second year student, second or third year. I think a third year. So. I supervised another student. I forget which one. I graduated back in 2009. I am getting older. And then my fifth year was a year-long internship at Virginia Treatment Center for Children. It's a mental health hospital for children. And I did my year-long APA accredited internship there. I hadn't graduated yet. Once I defended my dissertation and and I completed my internship, my degree was conferred in August of 2009. Then came the year-long residency. So postdoctoral residency. So once I had my degree, and I was technically Dr. Turner at the time, that's my maiden name, I then went on for another year-long residency, studied and passed my EPPP. That's the licensing exam that psychologists take. It's a very difficult exam. I'm grateful I passed on the first time, because sometimes a person does all the thing to get licensed, but then they struggle to pass the licensing test. So they've done all the things. They've gotten their supervision hours, they've gotten their practical hours, they've done all the coursework, they have their degree, but now they have to pass the licensure test. And some people struggle. I used to supervise residents and would give them tips for, because I used to supervise LPC, so licensed professional counselor residents, back when psychologists could do that. I think their board changed where they could only be supervised by other LPCs. Whole other thing. But some of us are older than others. And so all of that to say, it is a whole process to get licensed. So that's why those of us that have jumped through all those hoops, we often get very upset when somebody just like is out here doing therapy and didn't, or for if they didn't do all the things. So, because once I passed my EPPP, I then had to apply to have my application approved by the Board of Virginia. So back when I used to supervise other clinicians, I had a clinician move to Virginia from Washington State, and she was licensed as a licensed marriage and family therapist in Washington State, and that was a highly respected. Like it was actually above licensed professional counselor. Like she had a very highly respected certification, but Virginia did not accept it. They wanted for her to do a whole nother residency. Virginia wanted her to take more classes because each state sets their standard. And you have to jump through the hoops, or you just can't say that you're licensed. And so while that individual was jumping through those hoops, I was their supervisor. And so it's It's a lot. I had no idea until Afton mentioned it, and I'm so thankful that he did. Welcome to your very first live. I'm about to go live again, so I'm going to end this stream and then start the next stream. The next stream involves the loss of children. I am not going to go into the nitty-gritty details, but we are going to touch on two different so it's a mother and father that did the unthinkable, and then a mother that did the unthinkable. And because they're charged in the red rums of their children. And so we are going to talk about that case and how, if parents are overwhelmed, if parents have kids with special needs, if parents have things going on, what can people do before we get to where there's no turning back from what these individuals did. And then sometimes also talk about, will there potentially be a mental health defense? And we can kind of go from there. I'm Dr. Barry. We talk about true crime and psychology here. If this is your last case of the day, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Be kind, don't do crimes, and I will see you all next time. I hope you'll have a good one. Bye.